The devastating effects of climate change continue to ravage our planet. This year, various parts of the world have witnessed alternately the twin crises of severe drought and deadly floods, in addition to record heat waves and wildfires in some parts of the world. The catastrophes have caused death, degraded millions of hectares of land, and caused severe food shortages, with economic losses estimated at $131 billion in the first half of 2025. In Kenya, a once-in-a-century cycle of extreme drought and alternating with devastating floods continue to wipe out livelihoods and reversing the gains in our development agenda. As I traveled here, Excellencies, we are still searching for scores of people who went missing after a mudslide affected one part of our country, and this has become now common than it was before. Such incidents have become common. Kenya is committed to addressing further climate change induced harm. Kenya's energy grid now is 93% green, and we target to reach 100% in the next 4 years. Building on this foundation of green and clean energy, Kenya has updated and submitted a bold and ambitious economy-wide nationally determined contribution focused on greening the energy and industrial sectors in line with the commitments made at the African Climate Summit in Nairobi 2023 and in Addis Ababa 2024. The two summits have repositioned Africa as a global green growth hub, demonstrating that climate action and development are mutually reinforcing. Excellencies, Africa can help the world in the transition to green energy because Africa has the world's largest untapped renewable energy resources, vast critical mineral resources essential for energy transition, and a youthful demographic that can power the next phase of global manufacturing. However, global investment in Africa has been minimal and slow. Less than 2% of the $3 trillion invested in renewable energy over the last 2 decades has reached Africa, with 600 million people on the continent left without access to energy. Kenya alone needs $62 billion by 2030 to implement our climate commitments, and of this, we've only received $50 million, a paltry 0.08%. The gap between promise and delivery is huge. Sadly, every dollar delayed, every bureaucratic obstacle, and every failed commitment has a human cost. The world should cease to see Africa as an investment risk and see it as an opportunity, an economic opportunity to tap into the continent's abundant, cheap, and clean energy for global green manufacturing. The failure to honor commitments, bureaucratic delays, and the lengthy discussions at the COPs that prioritizes process over delivery are simply cruel and unjust to the millions suffering from the effects of harsh climate today. To achieve different results, 3 things need to be done. 1, COP30 ought to be the COP which will dramatically change our climate financing architecture from incremental pledges in billions to actual disbursements of the trillions required to match the scale of the climate crisis. Thus, The new collective quantified goal must be set at a level commensurate with the trillions required to achieve the 1.5 degrees Celsius goal. We have to operationalize the back to Belém roadmap to $1.3 trillion as we have agreed in COP29, and have a clear path for mobilizing this finance for developing countries by 2035. This finance must be new and additional to the overseas development assistance, predominantly grant-based, for adaptation and for loss and damage, designed to avoid compounding Africa's debt crisis. Number two, we must urgently reform the current global financial architecture to make capital more accessible and affordable for climate action in the developing world. And number three, and lastly, climate policies must integrate the empowerment of women, the youth, and farmers to ensure that the benefits of a green economy are equitably shared across communities, gender, and generations, and that the 1 billion people in Africa who lack clean cooking amenities are prioritized. Thank you.